All right, testing. Audio should be good. Testing. All right. Good morning, guys. Happy Monday. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia here on location, remote. Got my desk, got my screens ready to rock. Good morning, everybody. It is May 9th, 2022. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of G.A.R Capital. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join me this morning. Let's go ahead and get to it. Dow is down about 400 points. This morning was down a lot more. NASDAQ down about 2% this morning. S&P futures down 1.59%. RTY, which is Russell, down 1.4%. Crude oil down 2.5% with the China lockdowns and slowdown. Gasoline futures are down 1%. They were green earlier. Gold, nowhere really anywhere else to hide, down 1% as well. Silver down 2.18%. Let's take a look here at Forex, 105.58 for euro dollar, up 14 pips. Dollar yen up 16 pips, up 0.13%. Bitcoin and crypto, absolute bloodbath overnight. Over the weekend, Bitcoin down 8.7% on the future side, Ethereum down 11%. Then we have 10-year yields, 3.131. We'll go over that here in a second. That's up about 8 points, 8 basis points. Dollar index is down. It was actually green earlier today, as high as 104.18. Came back around to 103.59, and the VIX is up 10% with resistance right around 35.93 at 33.31. Good morning, all. All right, let's go ahead and go over a couple of charts. First, we'll go over S&P futures together. Oh, that's the phone. My wife's gonna get that. I'm at the hotel. My apologies. So here we are on S&P futures. You can see that we did break this wick here of 40.56. If you guys can see that right here. So we did break that below. Really the level I'm looking for, and see if we get back above 41.0158. There is a slight gap to, no, not even a gap to fill. So again, 41.01 is my first level here. If we go ahead and see TNX kind of reverse, if the dollar starts selling off a little bit, maybe VIX comes back down a little bit here. 41.01, maybe you could possibly scalp 415s if you get above 41.01. So if you're playing SPY at home, what you're looking for here, and this is updated, we're not above the 410.54 level. So that's key. So I want to get above 415.05 and see if we can break above that and maybe test around 418, 420 for calls, if that's the case. Not tons in terms of economic data. We do have some inflation expectations. Fed member Bostic is speaking as we're speaking, actually. We also have wholesale inventories at 10 a.m. and 3-month and 6-month Treasury auction at 11:30 a.m. So that's open this morning. In terms of earnings, Palantir reported their earnings. I do own shares. They're down pre-market. There is some numbers. Let me go and read it to you. Palantir, 2 cents EPS versus the 4 cent EPS miss. 446 million versus 443 million in revenue. They did beat. Notes its role in responding to geopolitical events. Guidance is 470 million versus 484 million, and affirms fiscal year 21 to 25 revenue greater than 30% growth. I'd have to deep dive a little more into their earnings. I do own shares. They are below the $10 level I was looking for. But again, I'm still looking to see if SPX does fill that gap to 40.30 right here, 40.20. So again, that's what I'm looking for. Again, we are not open yet. So again, if we look at fair value, S&P will probably be right around 40.70 or so. That looks like that'd be fair value compared to futures. Let's go ahead and answer some questions. John is asking about Apple, and then I'll go take a look at the next chart. Let's go and take a look at the daily. Right near support, you can see 157.28, but we broke down below it. So let's go ahead and redo SPY because that's the wrong number. Let's go ahead and go back to the hourly. There you go, 405.23. We need to get above 410. There is a gap to fill to the upside. So again, I want to see if we can get this break here around 409, 407.98. If that does happen, then I'll take a look at the calls for the 410 strike and see if I can catch a quick scalp. So that's on my radar today. I'm pretty sure everyone's thinking, oh, just short everything. If we start breaking down more, sure. Apple, there's a gap fill too, John. Take a look. So again, let's see if we break 155.28. If that does break, I take a look at the 160 calls. You're just playing the gap fill to right around 156.90, 157.14. Not the best RR in the world. I think SPY's a little better of a trade, but not terrible. Same thing, tons of gaps to the downside. So again, to the upside. So we have Microsoft. Let's get and put an alert there, 270, 221. If that does break, fine. If we break down below this wick, 266.83, then we could short. So again, as traders, we have a lot of options, no pun intended. But if you're an investor today, you're not feeling good. Obviously, the market is coming down. Again, we're going to get that gap fill, and what happens there is the market. Now, Tesla, Big Dog is asking, again, another gap to fill. So you have 853.19. If that does break, you can start taking a look at possibly the 900s or so for a scalp, but that's going to be a tough one because they're expensive. Remember, it's Monday. Premiums are a little juiced. Good morning. Thoughts on plug earnings report after the bell. So listen, anything aggressive growth, unless you're beating expectations handily, AMD, Microsoft, Apple, those names, Facebook not counting, you're going to get rewarded. If you miss by a little bit on expectations, especially in this rising rate environment and this market, you're going to get crushed. So it's really based on, does plug have the juice? Did they report good earnings? It's kind of like a report card for a kid. If it ain't straight A's, you ain't getting rewarded. B's and C's are not going to be rewarded in this market. So plug absolutely been hammered, obviously, with the other growth high beta names. There is support here right around 1503. So again, that may not be a bad place if you want to add some more shares there on plug. Let's go ahead and take a look at some macro together. We'll take a look at the VIX. We'll go ahead and bring it up here on the hourly. VIX right now kind of pulling back a little bit. 35.93 seems to be the resistance there on the wick. Again, we'll see if we get back to around 29.76. That's my first target to the downside. After that, 28.32 and then 23.93. If we start really getting a rally, 20.93 is going to get tested. And then that's the place where you want to buy insurance. You don't want to buy insurance here where it's already elevated. You kind of want to get around 23.93 if you want to add some VXX or some hedges for your portfolio, something like that. Take a look at the dollar together. And again, the dollar, again, just been strong, just up and up and up and up. So again, the high is 104.18. If we start breaking down below 102.97, then that's bullish for tech stocks and other multinational companies. Keep an eye on that. The highs here, if we start really bringing up the dollar index, it's breaking out in pretty much every aspect. So you can see way above 102.96. That's my support. If we do break above your next target, if you're doing Fibonacci extensions, are 111.48. Let's take a look at 10-year yields. 10-year yields, same deal, 32.48. Big time resistance. If that does break, 40 is next, which would be 4%. Let's go ahead and answer the next question. Any upside in SoFi with rates going up? What are your thoughts on selling calls? Yeah, if you're bearish on it, then you want to sell calls. But if there's earnings for SoFi, you just want to be careful. But again, if you want to sell calls against it, that's a good way to earn some premium, especially if you're bearish. So I'm not against it if that's what you want to do, especially on this name because we do have a downtrend. Obviously, we can get a snapback rally at any time. So that's really the only kind of downfall, if you can think about it. It's the only kind of risk here is that do we get some kind of squeeze to the upside? Do we bounce very, very quickly? Because look, we already broke the lows of Monday, and now we're basically retesting them. So we broke down overnight, bounce back. Let's see if we get continuation. Are you still holding DraftKings in football? I am. Yes, still holding those. Pretty much bloody red. If you guys want to see my crypto portfolio at my peak, I was at 240. You could see it's basically been cut in half. I am still profitable on Bitcoin, Ethereum. It's still profitable on Luna. The rest are pretty much red. If I needed the money, I would sell it, but I don't at this time. So not the worst thing in the world. It kind of sucks, but you kind of get used to it. I had this with COVID. I had this in 2018 with my stocks getting flushed. You almost get used to it. Let's answer this question here. What's your big support on NQ? All right, let's take a look. And I did this chart here on, I think it was here. So let's go to Qs. I think Qs will probably give us a little bit of a setup here. Let me go ahead and expand this chart. This is on, what do you call this? This is Koyfin. So again, you could take a look at Koyfin here. This is the daily, and you could start adding some kind of trend lines here. No lines or annotations, obviously. Koyfin is free. Right here, you could just put it right there at that candle. That's your support. First support that I see is right there. So that's right around 369. I think that'll get us to where we are currently. So very key levels. Let's go and bring up Qs. Yeah, right around 300, guys. You can see it. 300 by 299 is my support. That's your biggest level here. If you go ahead and take a look here, again, you have 3 years on a daily. You have the moving averages, but again, we're below it. Next support is right around $300, 299. After that, you start taking a look here at your next level, which would be right there. If I could get a line across the damn chart. There you go, 260.47. And then, of course, the big one that everyone's really concerned about or thinking about is a retest of the COVID breakout. How about that? Right at 234.36. Definitely could happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I think at worst we get to 260. 300 would be a great spot for a bounce. Again, that should level us out at right around 4020 SPX. So again, that's kind of my target. Once we start getting to 4020, I definitely want to start taking a look at some stocks to add some here. It's very difficult, obviously, when you start seeing red across the board because your confidence gets shot. That's completely normal as an investor. But again, at the end of the day, I always ask people, if you need the money today, sell. If you don't, then don't worry about it. I mean, it's not going to go to zero. Well, depending on what you own, obviously. But if you're talking about like mega cap stocks, companies that make money, Microsoft, UNH, Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, Costco, names like that, they're not going to zero. Yes, you're going to get a lot of fallout from other names after a big liquidity push by the Fed. But other than that, you're not going to go to zero. I mean, I remember this panic from COVID 2018. I've seen many panics, 2008 and all, and it always passes, guys. At the end of the day, always passes. SoFi and Palantir, do they have more downside? Yes, they have more downside because they are still lumped into that big part of the mega cap, the small cap or smaller cap aggressive beta names. So again, they kind of run in tandem. So again, you want to keep an eye on Qs and ARKK. ARKK is a pretty good proxy of where everything else in terms of the high betas are going. What would it take for the market to recovery to all-time highs? Three things. We need peace in Ukraine and Russia. We need China to stop with their lockdowns and COVID stuff, start taking the vaccines or get away from that. And the Fed needs to find some happy ground where they don't send us to a recession and we get a soft landing, meaning that inflation comes down a bit and actually stabilizes without us having to raise rates. Does price action wake off support levels? Do they consolidate at support levels? That really depends. Usually we do consolidate around support levels depending on the macro environment. Again, dollar and yields very, very correlated, are inverse correlated to NASDAQ. So again, when those two things are up and the VIX is up, obviously, so TNX and Dixie, if those two are up, then the NASDAQ's going to take a little bit of a hit. So keep an eye out there. Again, I'm not saying we don't have more pain ahead of us. Obviously, I have my alerts. But again, you just have to make sure and keep an eye that the market is pretty much a new market daily. Remember, just Wednesday, everyone thought, hey, the worst is over, and then we sold off. So again, it's really just about kind of weighing your options, seeing the market as a whole, keep an eye on that macro, keep an eye on the news, and see where we are in terms of how the market goes. The VIX resistance here is 35.93, Chad. So there you go. Great questions today, guys. If you like these videos, make sure to hit that like button. Really do appreciate it as always. I'll be doing the afternoon note today a little earlier so I can head out tonight for dinner. So I will catch you guys a little earlier in the day, right around 4:15. Make sure to turn on notifications so you don't miss it. Have a great rest of your morning, guys. Let's make it a great one. I know right now it feels like shit, but again, we'll always, always bounce back and be better for it. So just get used to it as a trader. A lot of this happens very so often. We'll catch you guys later today. Cheers.